Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Madison. My name is Kelly Asprooth-Jackson and I am one of the ministers here. Today I am joined by the worship team of Drew Collins, Linda Warren, Stephen Gregorius, and Daniel Carnes, with a very special welcome to the Three Sopranos, Tamara Berniano, Julie Collins, and Dara Degnan. At First Unitarian Society, we question boldly, listen humbly, grow spiritually, act courageously, and love unapologetically. If you are visiting us today, welcome. We are so very glad that you are with us. If you would like more information about First Unitarian Society, please stop by the welcome table, which is located in the Commons just through those doors and to your left. We hope you will be able to stay and join us for coffee hour immediately following today's service, also in the Commons. For those connecting with us virtually today, we are glad that you are with us as well, and we hope that you'll be able to take a moment to see the announcement slides shown briefly after today's service to learn about upcoming programs and activities. Our thanks to members of our climate action team for their support in volunteering for the various organizational roles in today's service. Thank you so much. I know that members of the team would be so pleased to talk with you after the service and will be available in the Commons to do so. I know they have a survey they'd like to get all of us to complete, if possible. We have one special announcement to share today. With the help of our Welcoming Congregation Renewal team, we are beginning what we're calling the Great Name Tag Project. We would like to incorporate a very common practice in UU congregations, many schools, and some workplaces of using pronouns on our name tags. So, how come? Well, many people whose identities do not fit into the gender binary or whose gender doesn't align with their sex assigned at birth face being called by the wrong pronoun on a day-to-day basis. It is one of many experiences which can make them feel unwelcome. Using the correct pronoun for someone is a crucial way to show that you recognize, acknowledge, and accept who they are. Additionally, understanding that a pronoun doesn't tell you everything about someone's gender is an important way to show that you understand that gender identity is complex, that everyone's identity and expression is a little bit different. So out in the Commons today, you will find a table with a sign reading the Great Name Tag Project. There is also a little more information there about pronouns and why they matter. You'll find name tag request forms there as well. We encourage you to fill out one so that we can get going on making new name tags for all of us. Now, the added benefit to this is that we'll have more uniform name tags. We know that our name tags have changed in size and shape and arrangement over the years, and that the name tag rack can be a little bit of a nightmare. This is one small step in making this place more accessible and easier to use, and encouraging all of us to wear our name tags so that we can better welcome and greet each other and build that practice as a community. But someone out there is asking, what if I really, really love my old name tag? I am deeply attached to it. We encourage you, hang on to it, take it home, put it in a place of honor. If, for some reason, you are so deeply attached to your particular name tag and the use of it here that it feels like a great loss to you to give it up, it's okay. You can keep your name tag. We do want to invite you, though, to let us know so we can give you some pronoun stickers that you can put on there and also be included in this project. Questions? The Welcoming Congregation team members will be in the Commons during coffee hour and would love to speak with you. And now, I invite you to join me in a moment of silence to center ourselves and bring ourselves fully into this time as we join together once again in community. Come down off the ladder. Wash out the paintbrush. Shake the sand out of your shoes. Get up off your muddy knees and give the garden a morning off. Fold up the newspaper. Turn off the coffee pot. Close up your calendar already filled with dates and times and people and places that claim you. This church is ready for you to fill its rooms, to create its spirit, to generate its warmth, to kindle its light. This church is ready for you to make community, to create beauty, to bend it towards justice, to serve its ideals. This church is ready for you to be here, honoring our past, invigorating our present, and dreaming our future. This is your church. Here we are home. Here we are whole. Let us begin. And now I invite you to rise in body and or spirit and join me in the words of aspiration for the kindling of our chalice flame. This light we kindle is set in the lamp of our history. We inherit this free faith from the brave and gentle, fierce and outspoken, hearts and minds that have come before us. Let us be worthy inheritors of this faith, and through our good works, pass it boldly to a new generation. And before we join in our opening hymn, we invite you to take a moment to turn and greet those around you with signs of love and peace. Join me in singing number 346, Come Sing a Song With Me. 346 in the silver and gray hymn. Come sing a song with me, come sing a song with me, come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind, and I'll bring you when hope is hard to find, and I'll bring a song. Well, now I would like to invite forward anybody who would like to come forward and hear a story today. Good morning. How are you? Good. It's good to see you. Good morning, good morning. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you know what? I think that she may not be here this morning. I have a suspicion. Well, good morning to all of you. It is so good to see you today. I have a story for you, but first, I have a question. Does anyone know or can tell me what they think a myth is? What's a myth? I'm going to start here. What do we got?
It's like a story that's kind of true, but isn't, but has a lot of real things, but it really didn't happen.
A story that's kind of true, but isn't. It has a lot of real things, but it really didn't happen. Thank you for that answer. Yes?
It's like a story that was passed down for a ton of years, but not like Cinderella or any of those stories, like about the gods and goddesses or about like mythical creatures.
Okay, so a story that was passed down for a long time. It has gods and goddesses, maybe mythical creatures in it. Yes, other thoughts?
Generally, they're passed down without writing.
They're passed down without writing.
Started
Okay.
and
Mm-hmm.
changed strange things.
I see one more hand over here. Yeah.
Passed down, those stories that are passed down but aren't true.
Passed down, but aren't true. I really appreciate these answers. Thank you so much for them. Here. Yes, also.
Also something based on a real thing that happens.
Based on a real thing, even though it's at some level not true. Yes.
It's basically like something mythical, like the Kraken or the Loch Ness monster.
The Kraken or the Loch Ness Monster are examples of myth.
Things down chips that people don't really get.
So there's a theme about like monsters or creatures that don't really exist. I guess, Gamera, yeah. I like that answer because it relates to Godzilla. So here is something that someone told me once and it has stuck with me ever since they told it to me. So I'm going to tell it to you and maybe it'll be useful to you in the way it's been useful to me. Someone told me once that a myth is something that never happened but is always happening. Always happening. Well,
That's impossible.
let's see. Because what I have for you today is I have a story that I would call a myth, but there are some things about it that maybe don't relate to some of the other things we just said myths are. Because it's not from a long time ago. It's a recent story. It's not about a faraway place or some sort of distant age. It's about a place sort of like ours, with people in it sort of like us. And although it does have one godly figure in it, okay, I'll grant you that, there's no Krakens or Loch Ness monsters. So, here, well, I'll try to find a story for you another time that has a Kraken in it. So here's the story. Not a long time ago, not too long ago, in a place not too far from here, there was a woman named Sophia, and she was a school teacher. And you know, when you're a school teacher, you get to meet a lot of people, right? Because you meet all the kids in your class the first year, and then you meet the kids in your class the next year, and on and so forth. And if you do it long enough, eventually you start seeing kids that are the children of the kids that you had so many years ago. And people tend to get to know you in town just because your face around. Yes.
But if that happens, then like that kind of doesn't make sense. Like if you see the children of the people you taught, because wouldn't that be like you lived kind of like for 123 years?
It's more like if you work in the same place for, say, maybe 20 or 25 years. And Sophia had worked as a school teacher for even longer than that. So the point is, she knew a lot of people in town. She loved the place where she lived and really enjoyed her community. And one day, she went into her office to sit down at her desk and do some writing, and she found there a letter, a very nice letter. It was written in very careful handwriting, but it was strange because she knew that she didn't write that letter and she didn't put it on her desk. It was just there. So now what did this letter say? It said, "Dear Sophia, I'm coming through town tomorrow. I thought it would be nice to come visit you. I hope the afternoon is all right. With much love and affection, your friend, God.
That's kind of weird.
It is kind of weird, right? Not something you sort of expect? Yeah. I must say, it's not a thing that has ever happened to me. So she thought, well, that's a very important guest. I guess I should get ready for this. So she started cleaning her house. And then she thought, well, I mean, if I'm going to have a guest, I should prepare and make sure that they're comfortable and make sure that I'm ready to receive them. But I don't know what God likes to eat. So she baked some bread. She made some sandwiches. She baked some cookies. She tried to cover all the bases that she could.
She made chocolate mousse.
Chocolate mousse, why not, right?
It's delicious.
Yes. She also didn't know what God liked to drink. She didn't know if God prefers hot tea or iced tea, so she made both.
Or coffee.
And she made lemonade just to cover all the bases.
I prefer lemonade.
There we go. Lemonade's popular with this crowd. So she did all of these things, and she was getting things ready and feeling pretty good about the state of her house, ready to receive her special visitor, when who comes walking down the street but the mayor of the town. And he said, hello, Miss Sophia. You know, I smelled just a delicious smell of baked bread coming from your house. And she said, yes, well, I have a very special guest coming later this afternoon. But you know, I bet that you would like to meet this guest, so why don't you come on in, have some food while you wait. So the mayor came in, he started enjoying the bread with some nice fresh butter, and along coming down the street comes one of Sophia's classes. It was her 5th grade class, the whole bunch of them. And they said, Miss Sophia, we smell that there are cookies baking in your house. And she said, well, you're right about that. And you know, I have a very special guest coming over, but I bet that guest would like to meet you, so why don't you come on in and enjoy some cookies while you wait. And this is the way that it went on. And her covenant group from church came, and her neighbors from around the block came, and the mail carrier came, and all sorts of people from all over town came to her house until it was full of people.
The U.S. came.
Oh, the president of the U.S. was there. Why not? Sure, a special state visit. Probably enjoyed the chocolate mousse a lot. So they were all in the house, they were playing games together, and they were singing songs, and they were talking. They're having such a wonderful time that eventually Sophia stopped waiting for that special guest and just enjoyed the party and got to spend time with so many lovely people, a lot of old friends, some new friends. She met the President of the United States. It was a delightful time. And after the day was done and everyone had gone home, and very importantly, they helped to clean up. I cannot stress this enough, the importance of helping to clean up after you are guests in someone's home. It's just good manners. So after all that, she was very tired. She went to bed, and just as she was falling asleep, she sat bolt upright and thought, what about God? Well, I don't know. So she went to sleep. She slept a long time. She got up in the morning, and she went to sit down at her desk again, and wouldn't you know it, there was another letter on her desk. And the letter said, Dear Sophia, thank you so much for the lovely party. It was wonderful to see so many happy faces. The bread was delicious, the sandwiches were scrumptious, the cookies were yummy, and I love mixing iced tea with lemonade. I hope we can do this again real soon. Much love and affection, your friend, God. Now, what are we going to take away from this story? Anybody have any thoughts? What do you got?
I broke 3 bones.
You broke 3 bones. Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad that they're in the healing. Yeah, good.
I broke this one
Yesterday.
And I have 2 broken bones in here.
Okay, so it's maybe a pattern we want to maybe taper off from. Hi, Thea. It's good to see you.
Fractures.
Okay. Any other takeaways besides the broken bones? Yes.
What if it didn't eat at all?
What if it didn't eat at all? Yeah, okay. Well, it seems like whoever wrote the letter did eat, or at least they said that they did. Yes. Yes, cookies, a popular treat. Absolutely.
What if it was the mayor who was God?
What if it was the mayor who was God? Yes.
I think it was the mail carrier.
Maybe it was the mail carrier. Maybe it was one of the 5th grade class. Maybe it was a member of the covenant group. It could have been any one of these people. Yes.
Sophia.
God. You're welcome. Or maybe, here's a little insight I'm sharing with you from yesterday. Maybe it was all of them at once. Well, thank you for listening to my story. We are now going to sing you to your class. And we are going to do that by singing together hymn number 1008 in the blue hymnal, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. I love it. 1008. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place. Thank you for singing with me. Here is a story now from the Lamba people of the countries of Togo and Benin in West Africa. Once there was a terrible famine, such that not only many people, but all of the animals of the land became hungry, so that the elephant and the lion and the hare and the eland and the tortoise and all the other animals that dwell on the earth gathered together and began to search for food. Eventually, they came to a place where a great tree stood, impossibly tall with countless wide, strong branches, and all of them were heavy with a ripe and tasty-looking fruit. The animals made a new home for themselves around the tree because it seemed so promising as a source of food in such a barren time. But they found that there was an enchantment on this marvelous tree. Its fruit could only be harvested if someone first spoke its right name. So the animals came together and took counsel about what ought to be done. It was decided that the hare would take on this most important mission because it was the fastest of all the animals. So the hare set out on a long way to visit the chief of that whole region of the world, who was in charge of the tree and must surely know the right name for it. The hare made the journey very quickly, and when the chief was asked for the name, he replied, Uwangalema. The hare heard the name and thought how easy this mission was going. Then it raced back to the tree and all the animals at the base of it, and proudly, confidently, it pronounced, Uwangalenyense, Uwantulutamba, what? The hare, in its hurry, had forgotten the right name. So another council was taken, and this time the eland was sent with the same mission to complete. For though the hare is quicker, the eland, which is a type of antelope, can run for a longer time without tiring and having to stop. And the eland found the chief, and the chief told it the right name for the magical tree, Uwangalema. The eland heard it once and sped back to the hungry animals. But when it returned, it could not remember the right name any better than the hare. So another council and another animal selected. This time it was the lion, because it is the most dangerous of animals. But it didn't fare any better than the two before it. On and on this went. All day and all night and all the next day, each of the animals did their best to do their duty as quickly as possible, but none of them managed to remember the right name. At last, it came to be the tortoise's turn. This one did not move quickly, and the other animals despaired of ever having anything to eat again. And when the tortoise met the chief, it did not just hear the name once and then turn around. It asked the chief to repeat it several times. The tortoise turned the word over and over again in its mouth. Uwangalema, Uwangalema, Uwangalema. It walked slowly, slowly back to the tree, repeating this word to itself all the way. And when it arrived, the other animals were not waiting for it, for they had long since given up on slow tortoise. But in a low, clear voice, the tortoise pronounced the right name, Uwangalema. And all of that wonderful fruit fell from the branches down to the earth, and the animals all came out to eat. Each of us is different. This is one of the greatest blessings and wonders of life. Our differences mean that we each have our own unique gifts and limitations. When we are open to the possibilities our differences offer, what we can do to benefit and nourish each other can be astonishing, like tortoise rescuing all of the animals from hunger. But accepting and appreciating our differences takes work. It takes effort and a determined humility to learn about others who are literally different from ourselves. Without that effort and a willingness to move at the speed of understanding, we can end up stumbling over the unfamiliar, as the other animals did over Uwangalema, and getting nowhere together. The poet Judy Brown offers these lines about the possibility of our own hidden gifts. She writes, I have a brother who builds wooden boats, who knows precisely how a board can bend or turn, steamed just exactly, soft enough, so he, with help of friends, can shape it to the hull. The knowledge lies as much within his sure hands on the plane as in his head. It lies in love of wood and grain, a rough hand resting on the satin of the finished deck. Is there within us each such artistry, forgotten in the cruder tasks the world requires of us, the faster modern work that we have turned our life to do? Could we return to more of craft within our lives and feel the way the grain of wood runs true by letting our hands linger on the product of our artistry? Could we recall what we have known but have forgotten, the gifts within ourselves, each other too, and thus transform a world as he and friends do, shaping steaming oak boards upon the hulls of wooden boats? Of course, not all of our wondrous differences and particular uniquenesses translate directly into the building of ships or the ending of famines. I want to be clear that our own precious, detailed selves are precious as they are, not for what effect they might or might not have. There is an inherent and immutable good in the variety of human beings. But the wonderful and often surprising effects of this variety do point back to the inherent worthiness of our many differences. In 1805, the French poet Émile Duchamp was only a young boy when his neighbor, an older gentleman named Monsieur de Fortescue, returned from a trip to England. He'd brought back with him an English treat called plum pudding, a dessert that's quite popular in England, but about as unusual to find in France as it is here. He shared a piece of it with his neighbor, the young Émile, and the future poet enjoyed remembering the taste of it, as well as his oddly named older neighbor. Years went by. Émile, now a young man, happened to walk past a certain restaurant in Paris which displayed some of its dishes in the window to draw in more traffic. That's how he saw it, the plum pudding. Drawn by memories of the flavor from his childhood, Duchamp went inside to ask if he could purchase the dish, but was informed, with apologies, that the dish in the window was the last portion in the store, and that it had just been sold to another customer. The server very helpfully pointed out who the lucky soul was, and Émile Duchamp was amused to realize that it was his old neighbor of years ago, Monsieur de Fortescue. Finally, in 1832, nearly 3 decades from the beginning of this story, Émile Duchamp was at a small dinner party. The hosts announced with pride that they would be serving an unusual dessert to their guests, plum pudding. When the treat was brought out to be served, Émile told the gathering about his 2 previous encounters with the dish and remarked that the only element missing from this 3rd instance was Monsieur de Fortescue. Then there came a knock at the door. Standing on the threshold, now quite an old man, was the figure Émile immediately recognized as Monsieur de Fortescue. He was looking for a dinner party, just not that dinner party. The only other person in the room who knew him was Duchamp. Monsieur de Fortescue had been invited to a different party in a different apartment in the same building, but he'd gotten the doors confused and wound up at the wrong one, just in time for plum pudding. Elizabeth Tarbox, the poet and Unitarian Universalist minister, used to tell a story from her childhood about a lima bean. She and her sister were given 1 bean each by their stepmother, who showed them how to swaddle the little growing thing with wet paper inside a glass jar to let in light. It's the sort of lesson that we give young children still all the time. I remember doing a version of it myself when I was that age. The idea was that Elizabeth and her sister would each keep their paper wet and take care of their beans and get to watch them slowly grow roots and come visibly alive. But early after the start of their little experiment, Elizabeth noticed that her bean was a little bit dirty looking, and it smelled sort of funny. So did her sisters, of course. Living things from the natural world are rarely spotless and odorless. Wanting to correct this, Elizabeth took her bean out of the jar, unwrapped the wet paper, and polished it up with furniture polish. After that, it looked a lot cleaner, and it smelled a lot better. But over the next few days, as Elizabeth's sister's bean began to sprout roots and shoots and formed itself into a plant, her own bean just shriveled, and nothing grew out of it. How often do we worry too much about the appearance of a thing and not about the thing itself? How much time and effort do we devote to being seen as confident, happy, worry-free, rather than as we truly are? How many rich and vital possibilities have we stifled in our own lives because some part of them seemed inconvenient or out of place? How many roots and sprouts have our spirits lost to the unthinking application of furniture polish? But the purpose of coming together into a spiritual community such as ours is to practice letting the messy, imperfect, occasionally smelly seeds of our true selves grow and flourish as they are, not as we would assume that others expect them to be. Here in this place, we do not welcome you on the basis of the shine on your shoes, but rather out of reverence for the possibility that is in you as it is in every living thing, to make the world a finer place by your being in it. Several years ago, an art museum in Japan had a photo exhibition about the artist Mitsuaki Iwago. All of the pictures in it were candid shots that he had taken of house cats, some in familiar locations and some in more unusual locales. There's a particularly pleased with itself tabby sprawled out on a sandy beach. That's a memorable item from that exhibit. It was popular and successful. Perhaps too successful, because sometime after those photographs went on display, presumably with accompanying visual advertisements on the outside of the museum's building, a certain black cat who resided in the neighborhood of the museum began showing up at the front entrance. Now, the museum's doors are automatic, so it wasn't hard for this cat, who's named Ken-chan, by the way, to get past them. On the first day, the museum's security guards saw the cat wander in and gently escorted it back out again, with both care and bemusement. But Ken-chan was back the next day, and the next, and the next. Eventually, he acquired a colleague and started appearing with a ginger cat named Gosaku. Their almost daily dance with the museum's security guards came to be a bit of an attraction unto itself, and images and cartoons of the two cats began to appear on merchandise in the museum's gift shop. The most recent article that I could find discussing the events of Ken-chan and Gosaku comes from 2018. They were then still trying to gain entrance almost every day. I cannot tell you whether or not they managed to succeed. Now, viewed from a human perspective, this is probably just another amusing story about cats being cats. Viewed from a cat's perspective, I am left wondering why, at a building displaying pictures of cats, making money from the sale of their images, these two were never just let inside. Sometimes we know we belong in a place, but that place does not recognize our belonging. Art can be a means for an artist asserting how they see themselves, despite countless misjudgments and misunderstandings from the wider world. J. Escoto does exactly this in his poem, The Formula for Forgiveness. He writes, "If I am she 34 times in a day, and I'm only he twice, what is the difference between me and her? How do we add up? If 34 times in a day multiplies by 2, each time a she takes me by the neck, what is the product of my identity? For every old habits die hard. We'll get there. It's going to take everyone some time. That's not what I meant. It'll take some getting used to. You have to be a little more understanding. Just be patient with us. It's hard to remember. For every, hey, just a reminder, my pronouns are he, him. Hi, can someone chat her and let her know what my pronouns are? Hello, I would appreciate it if you would use my pronouns. Just a reminder, my pronouns are he, him. You didn't use my pronouns at all today. For every, I mean he, I'm sorry, I meant he. His pronouns are he, him. You mean he. His, not hers. Remember, he. It's he, him. That has not been said on my behalf from my family and friends. For every she with no follow-up, with no correction, with no apology, just she, just this bomb, just the salt into the wound I've learned how to disguise into a chuckle, into a smile, into I forgive you once again. I forgive you all once again. I will solve this problem for you all once again. Don't worry about the math. Once again. I will solve this on my own. Once again. Communing with another person through poetry sometimes means exposing ourselves to their pain, as here. I find that pain is even more challenging than it otherwise might be when it is a pain that I myself am implicated in causing, as here, again. I mentioned at the beginning of this service that our welcoming congregation renewal team is leading us in an effort to reorganize our name tag system, both to make it easier and more likely for folks to wear theirs, and to specifically encourage us all to include our correct pronouns on those name tags. For me, this is about living our practice of accepting and celebrating our differences and extending to one another the fundamental respect and recognition of calling each other by our right names. I trust that there are some of us who could opt out of this practice and never have anyone guess wrong about the pronouns we use, nor perhaps even have anyone forget our name. But we are undertaking this practice together as part of building a culture in which we are appropriately curious about and invested in greeting and referring to everyone else with respect. Because the uniqueness of our differences matter. And while the wider world often sends precisely the opposite message, here, In this place, we affirm the value of each and every person. In Wim Wenders' film, Wings of Desire, two angels, Damiel and Cathiel, walk the streets of Berlin, unseen by human eyes, watching the unfolding of daily life and listening in to the thoughts of each person in it. When they meet up early in the film to discuss their work, it becomes clear that each of them has been noting down idiosyncratic moments or odd bits of happenstance in the lives of everyday people. A woman, for instance, who closed up her umbrella while it was raining and allowed herself to be drenched. A conductor on the subway who, instead of announcing the station stop, shouted, "Tierra del Fuego!" A child listening to his elder read the Odyssey with such rapt attention that his eyes did not even blink once while staring up at him. This is an amazing inversion of the common theological attitude that sees the hand of God in every roll of the dice, or at least the important seeming ones. Damiel and Cathiel are not controlling the course of fate, but they also aren't detached observers. They feel everything. They feel joy in every height, and rage and grief in every low. Mostly, though, they simply marvel at the complex, variable, and always surprising character of humankind. It is to me a profound argument for a God not defined by power and control, but by accompaniment and witness. Rather than a framework where human beings exist in order to marvel at God with wonder and awe, instead, a divinity capable of and eager to feel awe and wonder towards us. It's a metaphor, like the existential importance of remembering the name Uwangalema, for how important and precious our own unique selves are, and how grateful we ought to be to each other for sharing our own dear lives with the world.
When the sun
I invite you into this time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously, this offering which sustains and strengthens our community here, and also our outreach offering recipient, whom this week is Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism. The Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism Organizing Collective, or BLUE, is a community of Black UUs who are committed to expanding the power and capacity of Black Unitarian Universalists by providing support, information, and opportunities for justice-making and liberation through our faith. There are multiple ways to share your gifts this morning. Our baskets being passed here in the auditorium for cash or checks, or as you will see on the screen, you can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org, and find the text to give information there as well. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we create together.
Silenced by your
Thank you so much for that beautiful music. We gather each week, carrying with us all the joys, the losses, the celebrations and sorrows of our days. We bring them here, knowing that they are held in love and in support. We light a candle of mourning in anticipation of the Transgender Day of Remembrance this coming Monday, a memorial to those people who have been victims of violence and hate because someone did not like that they called themselves women or men or neither or both. Let us remember especially this day, therefore, all people whose bodies and selves do not fit into the narrow expectations of the society that we make together. May the day soon come when the threat of violence and the weight of oppression falls on no one for being who they truly are. We light a candle of ongoing lament for the violence which plagues our world, for the tragic loss of human life and those lives imperiled or diminished by armed conflict and the grinding of armored nations against civilian bodies. We grieve with particular attention to the suffering of innocents in Ukraine, Armenia, Gaza, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Together we yearn for a world in which all people should have the right and the means to live and live free. We light a candle of hope and healing for Mary Kessler, who at this hour is in hospital recovering from a stroke. We send to her our prayers for her health and well-being. And we light one more candle for all of those joys and sorrows, hopes and fears which remain unspoken in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. And I invite you now to turn with me both inward and outward as we enter together into an attitude of meditation and of prayer. As the autumn enfolds our world in its russet blanket of leaves, just when the wind grows chill, let us turn our hearts towards those who need our care. In this moment, we reside in the company of ourselves and of each other and of the holiness which dwells within and between all people. We share now a time when we are hungry, thirsty, lonely, and tired by degrees, an instant in which we are hopeful and scared, tearful and glad, solemn and playful, and curious and bold. Armored by a panoply of wants and made vulnerable by many different needs, still with a common heart we yearn for the health and well-being and freedom of all people, whether they live far or near, whether or not they look like us, whether or not they speak as we speak, whether or not they pray as we pray, whether they love us or hate us or are indifferent to us, whether or not we have yet found a way to love them, whether they be strangers or friends or our own very selves. May all people be healthy. May they be well. May they be free. And if this be not possible in the world we share, may we be among those whose calling it is to change the world. Amidst a sick and hurting world, in the very real presence of grief, nonetheless, let us give thanks for the earth and its gifts, for the technology which allows us to sustain our own lives, and for our very breath. May the celebrations and thanksgiving of this time remind us that each of us is connected to every other being on this earth, and so we should be aware of and attentive to the quality and the health of those connections. Blessed be, and amen. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. Now I invite you to rise once more in body and or spirit. Join me in singing our closing hymn, number 18, What Wondrous Love, 1-8. What wondrous love is this, O my soul, O my soul? What wondrous love is this, O my soul? What wondrous love is this that brings my heart such bliss and takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round. Oh my soul, friends to me gathered round. Oh my soul. To love and to all friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends whom pain and sorrow mend, with thanks unto the end I will sing, I will sing. With thanks unto the end I will sing. May you live a loved life. May you never diminish your mind or limit your heart. May you stand calm in a wide moment between sky that lifts you and gravity that grounds you. May you let loving unfurl you, then give you away. May you remember, you are nest, harbor, garden. May you pass life forward, so that which came from those before you and that which grows in those next to you go on to those who will follow you. Blessed be. Go in peace, and please be at rest for the postlude.
So take this song of joy and keep it in your heart, Stroope.